By April 1st, it had already begun in Washington's word to work a wonderful change in the minds of many men. Thomas Paine reminded the colonists that their cause was not the affair of a city, a county, a province, or a kingdom, but of a continent, of 1/8 part of a habitable globe. 'Tis not the concern of a day, a year, or an age. Posterity are virtually involved in the contest and will be more or less affected even to the end of time by the proceedings now. Therefore, the cause of America is the cause of all mankind. The issue was not only natural rights, but oppressive government. Society is produced by our wants, and government by our wickedness. The former promotes, this is actually such an important paragraph. Society is produced by our wants, and government by our wickedness. The former promotes our happiness positively by uniting our affections. The latter negatively by restraining our vices. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil. In its worst state, an intolerable one. For when we suffer or are exposed to the same miseries by a government which we might expect in a country without government, our calamity is heightened by reflecting that we furnish the means by which we suffer. Government, like dresses, the badge of lost innocence. The palaces of kings are built on the ruins of the bowers of paradise. Thomas Paine's attack on the British establishment was somewhat crude, repudiating the divine right of kings, which he incorrectly traced in England to William the Conqueror. He wrote, "A French bastard landing with an armed banditti and establishing himself king of England against the consent of the natives is in plain terms a very paltry, rascally original. It certainly hath no divinity in it. With mockery and contempt he also repudiated the institution of royalty." All right, 2 pages. So there's 2 pages. That's supposed to be fucking encyclopedias of logic, right? You just had piles and piles and piles of encyclopedia of logic. Now maybe he wanted, a particular page. Maybe that's what Rehnquist was saying. If we have a 1 page of particular history, if you really narrow it down in 1 page and you tell us that 1 page of history does not equal volumes of logic, that's stupid, that's horseshit. And his entire dissent of Texas v. Johnson was hinged upon that main little phrase. Everybody knows that 1 page is equal to a volume of logic. Nobody knows that. Nobody has heard that. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows what you're talking about, Rehnquist. Fucking Rehnquist. You fucking Rehnquist, you. What are you, some sort of Rehnquist? Stop Zionizing me, you fucking Rehnquistin' son of a bitch. So what does the 2 pages of history that I just read, how does that reflect upon freedom of speech? Does burning the American flag, is that covered by the freedom of speech? Or more, cumulatively, the freedom of expression? The First Amendment is about the freedom of expression. There's only 1 part here. We're talking about the Declaration of Independence. We're talking about revolution, right? And Thomas Paine is going to write Common Sense, which is going to be, George Washington is going to love it, and then ultimately the Patriots are successful. But if the Patriots did not win the revolution, all this would sound pretty fucking crazy. None of this would even matter. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Thomas Paine writing a revolutionary tract was awesome because it got into the hands of Washington, into the hearts and minds of his countrymen. But anybody could just write a bunch of drivel, a bunch of bullshit, and is that what we want? We don't want a bunch of trash, a bunch of filth, but we don't want to restrict anybody as well. Ultimately, the power of the idea will pick up either on its own or through capitalism. If your idea needs a sword or a gun or a bayonet to be enforced, then your idea isn't worth a scrap of frog shit. And so when they said that he grabbed a torch when he wrote Common Sense, that was like him essentially lighting a forest fire. And then he lit a prairie fire. And then he lit a Palisade fire. Then he lit LA on fire. Then he lit Florida on fire. And then Montana. And then Oregon. And then All the states. Why do all the states have wildfires? Do we not? I thought we had EMS, police, and fire departments. Why are there so many fucking fires? We have fire departments. So where am I going with this? Texas v. Johnson, freedom of speech. Burning the American flag is protected by freedom of speech. Of course it is. You have a right to express yourself. If you're not threatening anybody, and if you're not destroying anybody's property, if you're not committing any violent felony, all you're doing is, I'm burning this flag because I'm sick of NASA. And NASA, they haven't sent the goddamn space shuttle to the moon for about fucking 50 years now. And so I'm going to keep on burning this American flag because I'm sick and tired of NASA. And so that's, that's what I say is my thing. We're chanting a bunch of anti-NASA stuff, and, I burn the flag. Nobody's around. Nobody thinks that I'm like burning it at them or trying to use it, to burn them specifically. It's for speech. It's for only speech. That's freedom of speech. It's one of Scalia's best decisions. Scalia is actually going to refer to it, and he's like, look, my conservative justices were against this, but I feel like the freedom of speech is the freedom of speech. You can't not abridge the freedom of speech. You have a right to burn the American flag. I hate it. I'm against it. I can't stand people who do it, but they have a right to do it. It's called freedom of speech. It's the first fucking freedom we got. If we can't even understand the first fucking freedom, then what freedom do we have? And these 2 pages of history did not really clarify it too much, except that Thomas Paine was incendiary, and then that incendiary turned into goddamn fire, right? So just blowing on the coals could turn to fire. And then ultimately, do you want a forest fire? And then it's like, if it's consistent with your political opinions, no, I don't want no communist revolution, but a capitalist revolution, oh, I'll be down with that. I don't want no democracy revolution, but a republic revolution, oh, I'll be down with that. Constitutional revolution, no, I'm not for no constitutional revolution. A common sense revolution, oh, I heard him say that at the inauguration. I'll do that one. No such thing as a common sense revolution, goddamn Henry. So those 2 pages doesn't illuminate jack shit. Not jack shit. You know?